Now let's analyze how we could use Chat GPT to find a solution for the problem of even and odd numbers. So here on the screen, you can see the description that was given as a problem. And as always, let's take a look through step by step to find our solution. So you should always start analyzing the problem by yourself. Try to find solution by yourself and then use ChatGPT to verify if you were on the right way of solving this problem. Maybe you would obtain some interesting insights. But in this case, it was very straightforward once again. So basically, giving the exact description directly to ChatGPT, I would obtain this solution. So it's initial solution by ChatGPT. Is it working correctly? Yes, but let's take a look in the requirements. So when you are solving problems, you have a set of requirements. And those requirements are very important, especially when you are working in a team, especially when you have your client. If you are coding for yourself and it's very simple problem, you can write the way you prefer. But when you're working with other people, when you are learning, if you are a beginner, ask more questions, brainstorm with ChatGPT. This is the right way to use it for learning purposes. So requirements are important. And the requirements were the following: indentation, naming conventions, and use of comments. So we don't see these items here. Yes, only the indentation. Yes, indentation works because ChatGPT knows how to indent our code, so it helped us. But naming conventions, yes, it's okay-ish, but are they the best names? Are they descriptive? Are they easy to read? Well, it's very subjective, but for me, they are not good options. And no comments at all. So let's see how we can refactor and optimize. It's the last item to do. Yes, so our code is working, we tested, it works very good, but do we have final solution? Yes, final solution will depend on what are our goals, but let's see, let's practice our critical thinking to determine if we can improve somehow our code. So the improvements that I would search for: more descriptive variable names. The solutions that ChatGPT proposed me is using for loop, and we were not we started with while loops. Yes, for loops, they are easy to understand as well, but I would prefer you to practice for now only the concepts that we have seen in class till now. Another thing, improved code readability. Yes, descriptive names would be very useful, but another thing that is very important is to maintain 79 character limit per line that are recommended by PEP 8. Yes, the official Python style guide. So we need to reduce our comments or our lines, because when we are creating code with longer variable names, there are chances that our lines of code will become longer and longer. So how do we address these issues? And another very important thing, avoid hard-coded numbers in your code. Normally, it's a good practice to put all hard-coded numbers at the very beginning at the very start of your program. So I asked all these improvements to Chat GPT, and here is a new solution, my improved solution after all those improvements. So as you see, we don't see a difference on our input, but our code, I can see that it was thought through, it was improved already. So it's much easier for someone who is starting to code to understand what's going on inside. It's much more descriptive. Now we understand why, what are those numbers. We thought about naming. So when you read this line, it's much more easier to understand than just seeing numbers. And imagine that you are using, let's say, minimum value more than once, and then you decide to change your limit. So you, without declaring the limits as a variables at the very beginning, you would need to go through your code, all lines of your code, to replace later. But if you use the variables, you know that you will need to replace only once here in the declaration. Perfect. So you can read here. You can stop the video and read through the code, see if it became more clear what this code is doing. And yes, so here we have all the improvements. And now we can see how the code improved. And after those improvements, I looked through my code, and there were a few issues, still a few issues that I would like to talk about. For example, I ask you to practice the following skill. If you can see something repeated over and over again, there are very high chances that that part of your code should be improved. So if you will read this statement here and this statement here, you will see that the only difference is this word, even or odd. So you can stop the video now and to think about how is it possible to improve this part of the code. And another thing that I don't like here is this part. Is it possible to not to add +1 here? Yes, when we will change print statement to be used only once, we will not have it repeated, but why should we add +1 here? How we could improve this code to be, you can see here that I'm doing my increment here, but I add it artificially in each print statement. So probably it would be easier and better if this statement would be placed here at the very beginning of the loop. So let's check. Basically, yes. So I transferred loop counter at the very beginning. So I don't need to artificially add +1 for my print statement. And I am using logical operators here to choose which word I will print. So if the current number is even or odd, and this decision will be done upon this evaluation. So as you can see, in some cases, when we have very straightforward one-line comparison, if-else statement can be written this way. So it doesn't allow us else if or more complicated logic, but it allows us to use to be used for print statements this way. So try to play with this approach to better understand what's going on inside. If you need, you can ask questions to Chat GPT to better understand what's exactly is going on here. Yes, so that's it for the test assignment on even and odd numbers. Thank you.